You at 5:30, it opened 26 years ago. The first section of Louisville's Waterfront Park that now draws more than 2 million visitors a year.
Back then, the Great Lawn was the first piece open. The popular Big Four Bridge would come later. Well, tonight we are heading back to the WHS 11 vault.
As we celebrate WHS 11's 75 years on the air, we're looking back at stories we've covered from start to finish. And Connie, I was surprised to hear this. The former mayor, Jerry Abramson, told me this is the first time that he and David Karum have talked about their work together since leaving public service. At the time, people weren't moving back downtown.
Well, because they weren't going to live across piles of junk and sand and iron and steel.
Jerry Abramson, the man who got elected as Louisville's mayor 5 times, is 78 years old. And walking right next to him is David Karum, age 81, the retired but original CEO of Waterfront Park.
It's an engine that's done an enormous amount of stuff down here.
They still visit and walk the Louisville treasure they both opened in 1999. It wasn't always green and full of people.
When the truckers would come driving down 65, pulling into Junk City when they were on their CBs because of the scrapyards and sand piles along the waterfront.
The vision of Waterfront Park started with Mayor Harvey Sloan back in the polluted 1970s. Abramson and Karum, also both Democrats, seized the plan years later.
This was public land, but it had no public access.
Well, it was public land because we, the taxpayers of the city of Louisville, owned it. But in fact, it had been leased for years and years and years to companies that used the river.
Kentucky was then democratically controlled. Karum was also a powerful state senator from the highlands of Louisville and got money from Frankfurt easily, but reminded me that the original cash to start Waterfront Park came from private donors, like Humana's late co-founder David Jones Sr. and Mary Bingham, the family who owned the Courier-Journal and WHAS TV 11.
He was at one end of the table, and Mary Bingham was the other end of the table, and Mary Bingham got her checkbook out and wrote a check for $1 million on her little checkbook and sent it down the table, and David Jones. So that meeting, we had started with $2 million.
Here's what Mary Bingham told me about that donation in 1992.
I think it's just going to revolutionize the way people feel about the downtown part of the city.
But the battles for the key parcels of land would be colossal. First, a fight over the Scrapyard, which was located by the current Slugger Field. It was privately owned by a Louisville family.
From my perspective, the most important purchase, settlement, lawsuit, whatever you want. All of the above.
To get the junkyard, the scrapyard out of here.
Which not only opened up the waterfront entrance, but also gave us land for the baseball park.
Right.
And if they had lost,
you'd have to walk through the scrapyards to get down to the edge of the city, to the edge of the river. And so that piece of land was just super critical to acquire.
Looming large over the park's construction, though, was the big prize the city really wanted, the Big Four Bridge. It, too, was privately owned.
It took a while to get the Big Four Bridge involved in this park.
It took a while. It took seemingly forever. And
that went to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Both men now name the Big Four as their favorite spot at Waterfront Park today.
The bridge and that ramp, which, by the way, there's no other ramp in the entire United States that's ever been designed like that ramp.
I was fortunate here at WHAS 11 to cover nearly all of the early planning meetings about the park, starting in 1987. I remember one tense meeting between Abramson and Karum with the architect, who didn't want playgrounds.
I felt, however, that there still needed to be some centers of activity for the children. And I thought that we needed playground. And so that was the only disagreement I can remember having with the architect. And when you're mayor, you can win.
And, guess what? The day it opened, it was surrounded, just overwhelmed with kids.
As president and CEO at the park every day, Karum remembers getting phone calls from Abramson often as mayor.
There was no toilet paper. I mean, you got all of it there. So the water fountain out front doesn't work. I mean, you got all that.
The smartest move I ever made was reaching back to him and saying, "You're the director of this organization full-time. You're the president.
As they both now love the westward expansion of the park, the cheerleader-in-chief celebrates the biggest fight he won.
This was a community that literally saw the glass half empty. They didn't see it half full. They didn't see the opportunities to take advantage of a unique situation that cities around this country would die for.
But the founders of the River City had set the bigger stage.
All the way back to the founding of Louisville was that there was a statement that there should be a commons. Remember this, Jerry? There should be a commons in the center of the city that was where everyone went and
gathered. Yeah.
And so Waterfront Park has become the commons for the community.
Good to see them both. They look great. It was a fun and exciting time for our city. Both Abramson and Karum point out that just a small section of Waterfront Park West, by the way, is now open, but there's an entire master plan to develop up to 26 acres in Portland. You can watch my entire interview with the two talking about our wild riverfront history and the many plans to return to the river that didn't work. We're posting the entire 40-minute conversation at 11:30 tonight on the free WHAS 11 Plus app. Download the app, and then you can see the interview running anytime after that. Connie?
An incredible transformation, that's for sure. It's unbelievable.
I know it. You walk it. I love the Big
it.
Ford Bridge, too. And now Jeffersonville got in the act.